Discovered husband had affair, so he ended his life. Hi guys. This was 2 years ago now, and so I've had some time to gain perspective on the situation, but I have read some of your stories and want to share mine and ask for some advice. Basically, I 30F was sitting at home one night having just put our 9-month-old to bed, and got some weird social media ads from a friend of mine. She added me to Insta, FB, etc. I was so confused because I didn't know she had unfriended me. So I texted my husband 35M that she was being a weirdo. I had zero thoughts of them having an affair together. She was married and I thought my husband was faithful. 20 minutes later my husband walks in the door telling me we need to talk. I still didn't put 2 and 2 together and thought he got fired from work or something. He looked so despondent. That's when he told me about the affair. It hurt so bad to be backstabbed by a friend and my husband at the same time. He was apologetic but was also flipping it around on me not being happy enough, etc. I had just had a baby and went through a cancer scare at the same time. How was I supposed to always be happy? I shouldn't have, but I texted her too and she flipped it on me as well, telling me I should have had better control over my husband. WTF. I'm not here to control anyone and I trusted him and her. Anyways, it gets worse. Apparently he had confessed to her that this wasn't the first time he had cheated on me. He had hooked up with randoms at work too. She threatened him that she would tell me if he didn't tell me right away. She cited morality, Lamau. As of now she felt the need to be moral. Anyways, he told me. I reacted poorly and told him I couldn't tolerate that and we needed to divorce. I had been trying to accept his affair with my friend, not smart, but I desperately wanted things to work between us, but hearing it was a chronic thing for him changed the game entirely. So I told him I was out. That was when he took off and ended his life. It took hours for police to find him and the whole time I was hoping he took off to blow off steam, but his tone when he left scared me. So I called 911 and police were at my house for about 6 hours until the official notification came. I guess my question in all this is, how do I live with no answers or closure? How do I live knowing that my friend just blocked me on everything and continues to live her normal married life when my family blew up and my son has no dad anymore? How do I ever trust someone intimately again? I'm in therapy and it helps, mostly alleviating my guilt at not saving him from himself, but holy hell, this is a lot to live with. It all feels very unfair that I had no hand in any of this and I and my poor little dude still ended up being the ones totally screwed over. Redditor's reactions. Story 2 after. Redditor 1, did she get exposed? How did her husband react? Do you still have a relationship with your husband's family? This is awful. Op answer, she did not get exposed. We didn't share a lot of mutual friends, so it didn't really impact her life at all. Of course, all of my close friends know, but that does not affect her. She had the audacity to come to my husband's public memorial with her husband. I didn't say anything that day because I was still in shock and also was overwhelmed with all the people talking to me. I never found out how her husband reacted. Like I said, she blocked me from everything shortly after the funeral, but they are still married, so. Yeah. I know he knows about what happened, but I have no idea what his thoughts, feelings on it are. She did tell me her husband was fine with it when I texted her after I found out about the affair. But those were her words, not his. I do not have a relationship with my husband's family. They couldn't really cope with what happened and avoided me in the days following his death, then moved across the country. In part, I think their inability to face any issues is likely why my husband had the psychological difficulties that led him to suicide and actually probably cheating too, very much avoidant tendencies. I would never tell them that, obviously, but he had a crappy family. Redditor 2, if I was you I would expose her to her family. She screwed mine, so I will do the same. His poor husband has the right to know about his wife. Op answer, to my knowledge, he does know about what happened. They came to some weird one-sided open marriage agreement after he found out she cheated the first time. My husband was not her first affair. I have no idea how things went down with them, though, once my husband died. Redditor 3, I'm sorry all this happened to you, and I realize saying that is so inadequate. Glad you are in therapy. This is not something you can handle on your own, of course. Obviously, it's a lot, in terms of practical things to do. Does your friend's husband know she cheated? He needs to know. Send him this post, say you posted it on Reddit, and tell him it's about you and his wife. Don't worry about being vindictive. She deserves it. Not just for the cheating but for the way she talked to you. That friend is a genuinely awful person. Do the world a favor and toss some justice her way. In terms of closure, I can only say this. Most people don't get closure when they confront a partner for having cheated. Or sometimes they only think they do, when the truth is they just bought a narrative. So maybe realize most people don't get and in fact really don't need closure. And as hard as it may be, you also need to look at something square in the face. That is, your ex could not have been a very grounded, solid person if they abandoned a child through suicide. There was something wrong with him. I don't know, probably you have looked that in the face and you already know you cannot help what is wrong with another person. You did nothing wrong in telling him you wanted a divorce. That's a normal reaction. You cannot help what was wrong with him. Many a man has cheated, been caught, got up off the mat, accepted the consequences, and then tried to be a good co-parent after the divorce. You could not know in advance that he would be a weak exception to that. How can you trust again? That will take a long time. Be strong and be a good, brave mother for your child. That's about all anyone can do. I feel how absolutely inadequate my words are to your situation, but the more feedback you get the better, so I just thought I would toss in my own in no way adequate 2 cents. Answer. Thank you for your kind and thorough comment. I do really appreciate the feedback. Her husband does know she cheated. This wasn't even her first time cheating. TBH, not sure why he stays with her. Also, excellent point about likely not getting much closure either way. And you are right that closure isn't needed to heal. In therapy, I have examined my husband and our relationship and learned that he was absolutely not a good partner for me, nor was he, as you said, a solid, grounded person. It was hard to look at that aspect of things, but has been very necessary in putting things into perspective. You're right that being able to trust again will take time. I'm still in the midst of that part of healing, but I do have hope. Story 2, nice validation. My divorce was final on July 5th. I contacted an attorney as soon as I got confirmation of the affair and filed ASAP. As the primary wage earner throughout our marriage, my retirement was very financially vulnerable in a divorce. Luckily, it worked out well for me. My divorce attorney suggested that we offer my cheating ex-husband some rental property we had in exchange for hands off our residence and my retirement accounts, pension, and other investments. My ex will also have to pay substantial capital gains, commissions, and income taxes on this rental property due to the way the property division was written. I ended up with 2/3 of the assets, my ex-husband with 1/3. He stipulated it and we were divorced without even having to go to court. Yesterday I went to another attorney to have my will revised. She gave great validation to what I had done. She said that she has never seen drawing out divorce proceedings go well for the higher wage earning spouse. As time goes by, the cheating spouse gets more and more greedy and feels entitled to a greater share of the marital assets. She said it was much better to file early while the cheating spouse is still emotionally involved with the AP and is living in a fantasy land where they will be together and they can just live on love. Once the love is gone and it is clear the marriage is over, it all comes down to just a division of property anyway. So strike early and strike fast. Update: 2 years post D-Day, encouragement for the lost and hurting. My D-Day was the Sunday after Mother's Day in 2019. I had been faithfully married to my husband for 42 years. I went straight from my family to a college dorm to marriage and had never lived alone. I had retired the year before, and we had moved to a little hobby farm in the country to retire. Our farm had an outbuilding, where my husband kept his music room. I was 63 years old when I overheard him talking on the phone to a woman late into the night. I eavesdropped for a week. He always talked to the same woman conveniently on speaker. I always ran back to the house when the conversation appeared to be winding down, as I did not want to be caught. I suspected an affair and ordered a voice-activated recorder off the internet. I confided to a girlfriend who could not believe that my 67-year-old husband would be having an affair. She convinced me to talk to him. Bad idea, to confront before you have full information BTW. So 2 years ago, I sat in the dark as the conversation ended. That is when the I love you S and the S time talk started. She could hardly wait to see him again. He wanted to be in bed with her, and he really, really loved her. The conversation ended and I let him find me sitting on the stairs. I said, "So you really, really love her?" He became enraged, got 2 eye chests from my face, and screamed, "Yes, I love her and I don't love you." No place to go from there, but to divvy up the assets and divorce. I went a little crazy that night, and X wisely chose to sleep in his music room. I called, texted and emailed everyone we knew and told them that my husband was having an affair and we were getting a divorce. One friend talked to me for hours until I calmed down. Within 24 hours, 3 friends had recommended the same attorney. I had an appointment with her 2 days later. I did not sleep for months. My heart would pound, I could not eat and I lost weight. I had to be medicated for the near constant panic I felt. I did not want the stress of moving again and losing my house and farm on top of everything else, but I did not know if I could manage it by myself. I did not know if I could afford it. I was terrified. My pit bull attorney had me make a generous financial offer to my ex. Because we had married young and broke, everything was community property. I gave him some rental property in exchange for my getting the house and keeping my retirement accounts. My ex did not contest he was deeply in the affair fog and did not even hire his own attorney. We divorced quickly, no kids or debt, and I ended up with 2/3 of the marital assets. It has been 2 years now, and I cannot believe how happy I am. I am managing just fine. I bought a new zero-turn mower to manage my huge lawn and a Honda snowblower for the winter. I used some savings to have a sprinkler system installed. My girlfriends offered great support during the day, but I was lonely at night. I learned that, if I went to the gym in the evening, and worked out really hard, I could then come home to a hot bath and sleep soundly. My ex moved away to be with his AP. I was no contact with him for more than a year. He texted me with a tax question. I gave a short, businesslike response. I had my gray hair dyed and updated my wardrobe. I am healthier and look better than I have in years. I joined Meetup and forced myself to go out solo. I started to like living alone. My social life flourished. 6 months after my divorce, I met a wonderful widower and found love at the age of 64. I cannot believe how happy I am and how well I am doing. I am much older than most of you on this sub. If I can divorce and find myself, love and happiness at my age, you can start over and build a new life too. Good riddance to cheaters and hugs to the hurting. Be brave and keep looking forward. The best is yet to come. Update, 2 years post-divorce and I am happy. In May of 2019, I discovered my husband of 42 years had been having a long-term out-of-town affair. He traveled to his hometown every 2 months supposedly to visit his older brother with cancer for a week at a time. It turns out he had reconnected with a high school girlfriend and had been living a double life with her. They were known as a couple among his old high school friends, while I stayed home to manage our farm and our business. He admitted that the affair had gone on for 1 year, but I have reasons to believe it was longer. I felt doubly betrayed as he claimed he was impotent after prostate surgery in 2009. I had remained faithful despite a dead bedroom and no physical affection for 10 years. My ex-husband had totally checked out while I continued to cook, clean, and run the business. I was devastated and furious. I had retired 1 year earlier and so had a very limited social circle. I felt too old and too ugly to be wanted by another man. I had not dated or even been with another man since the age of 19, and seriously doubted if I would ever be able to even take my clothes off in front of another man. I was overwhelmed and lost. I had to stay angry or I would spiral into a suicidal depression. My ex had no interest in trying to save the marriage. I filed for divorce, and since we had no debts and no minor children and I made my ex a generous financial settlement, he did not contest. He could not wait to get to his AP full-time. My religion forbids suicide, but I started going to the gym at night since that was when the loneliness was the worst and attempting suicide by Stairmaster. I would get my heart rate up to 180, way too high for my age, and Stairmaster as long as I could. I couldn't eat anyway. 2 years out, my life is much happier. I am dating a lovely widower that I met through a meetup group. I rarely think about my ex and have minimal contact with him, and only about our adult special needs son. I have friends and a full social life. I have enough money to support myself comfortably and do what I want. I'm happy living alone, although most nights I am with my boyfriend. Although it seems impossible when you are living through this acid, life does get better. Survive, and one day the pain will be behind you and you will make a choice to be happy. Hugs to all the suffering ones out there. Redditor's reactions. Redditor 1, thank you for this post. My marriage of 20 years is ending. I discovered the affairs over 6 years ago, but it took me way too long hoping for reconciliation before realizing he never really intended to cut off contact with the other women as promised. He only intended to hide it better. Thank you for sharing your story and hope. Redditor follow-up, just as Op has done, you look after yourself as well and know that life does, and will continue once this part of your life finishes up. Redditor 2, wow, it's wild how bad of a situation you went through and awesome how far you've come. Redditor 3, same here. Tomorrow makes 2 years since the divorce was finalized. For the first time in 10 years, I'm happy again. I still get furious at times remembering this person so much so that if there was a way to have the marriage stricken from the record, I would do it for closure and out of embarrassment I was ever married to this person in the first place, but GD I am happy most days now. Never thought I'd get here, but 2 years ago, my life began again. I'm loving every moment of it now and still have to catch myself sometimes when I feel happy because it's like I can't believe it. Glad you're here, too. Maybe 2 years is a magic crossroads for some. Keep trucking on to anyone else struggling. One day nothing about what happened will matter. You'll laugh at the lies, the craziness of it all, and wonder why you ever cared in the first place. Then you'll smile and enjoy your day.